What's up, YouTube world? What's up, Marvel fans? What's up, everybody? It's your boy JB, and I'm here tonight with our review for Cloak and Dagger. This is season number 2. This is episode number 3, and this episode was titled Shadow Selves. So, without further ado, we're just gonna jump right into the video. All right, so the episode it opened up. We saw Mina. Mina was in her lab, and she was doing an experiment on some mouse. So she put the mouse in a little cage, like whatever the maze that they put him in, and we see the mouse, he's running around. So then out of nowhere, the power goes out, and when the power goes out, it comes back on. And also, she was talking into her recorder, talking about if this doesn't go well, she's gonna have to try to find more money to fund her research. So when the lights do come back on, you see the one little mouse in the maze that she already had in there. But then you see a second mouse in there. So the second mouse is a little docile. It's meek. It's it's kind of submissive. It's whatever. It's not as dominant as the other one is. It's kind of recessive. So you see the more dominant one. You see him. He runs up to the other one and he kills it. And then he has blood all over his little hands, claws, feet, whatever you call them. And she's like, oh God, like I was like, oh wow. So the more evil one, if you want to say that, killed the little meek, docile one. I don't know why I'm doing air quotes, but that's how it was. So then we jump 242 days back in the past. So we see O'Reilly, or who we think is O'Reilly. She's coming out of the swamp after, the whole attack that she got attacked by, Connor. So she goes back to her house. And then we see her drop, slap her hand onto the counter. And that's when you notice that her fingernails are green. So I'm like, okay, this is mayhem that we have. And instead of having actually O'Reilly. So, she has wicked, crazy strength because the refrigerator is making a really, really strange sound. And it was irritating her. So out of nowhere, she just picked the refrigerator up and tossed the refrigerator outside the door. I'm like, wow, that is wicked strength. So then we jump 240 days into the past. And at this point, this is where O'Reilly is in the hospital after the attack by Connor. So, Mayhem is there and she's plotting to kill her. At first, she thought about, slitting her throat with her fingernails. But she doesn't do that. She sees a pillow. She takes the pillow and she's going to smother her instead. But before she could do that, there were two guards that are standing in post. And the one guard was telling the other guard that you need to stand your post. Like, Connor is out there somewhere. We don't know where he is. He tried to kill her once. He can come back again. So you sit here. Don't, don't complain about it. Don't do nothing. You sit here and you watch her. I don't care what you feel. Watch this girl. All right. So then we move over to the present day. So in the present day, we see where, last week's episode ended when we were face to face with the two O'Reillys, Mayhem and O'Reilly herself. So, Tandy's like, what the hell is going on? Like, who is she? And, Mayhem was trying to get Tandy to help her, do what she needs done. Kind of like this vigilante. Well, hell, I mean, they all doing vigilante justice, but hers is a different brand of vigilante. Hers is vigilante where I'm actually killing people. Like, who? So then Tyrone figures it out. So the guys in the club, that was your work, wasn't it? She's like, yep, that was all me. So then we see, so she's about to take them out. She pulls out a gun and she's about to shoot at them. And then Tyrone teleports them all away from her. And then, Tandy was like, whoa, when did you learn how to do that? But also when he did that, it took from him to teleport all three of them to safety. So, Tandy is is basically grilling the hell out of O'Reilly. Who is she? Where does she come from? And this and this and that. And Tyrone is like, chill out, Tandy. Like, I don't think she knows any more than what we know. So please, chill out. So then we see them. They go to Mina's lab and they're talking to Mina. So, in a nutshell, Mina was telling them about the rat experiments because, she has subjects, like 17A, 13A, And then Tandy also noticed that some of them were missing, and she's like, "What happened to this one?" Well, it's the same situation with the other mouse, where the more dominant one, took out the more the weak and docile one, which I guess in a sense is what is going on between Mayhem and O'Reilly. Mayhem is stronger than O'Reilly, and O'Reilly is kind of weak and docile, so Mayhem is trying to take her out. So then we see 236 days into the past, and we see Mayhem. She goes to a seedy motel room to check into the motel room. So then, she's going off on a guy like, "Why are you looking at me? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that?" So then we move back to the present day, and they're they're talking about how Mayhem is trying to kill O'Reilly, like I just said. But Tandy's like, "Well, she's you, you're her. So, you guys kind of like share the same ideas, thoughts. So you know where she would be heading to." And she's like, "I really don't." But then she figures it out. Well, if it was me, she figures out that she would go to the hotel. So then they go to the motel. So the guy that works there, the clerk, whatever you want to call him, the attendant, he thinks it is Mayhem that he's looking at. He is apologetic. He's talking about, "I'm sorry for looking at you, and nobody went into your room." And O'Reilly's like, "Well, just give me the key." So he gives her the key, and then they go into the room. So when they go into the room, it's paper. Not paper, but there's a map on the wall, and then on the wall there are girls pinned. I guess that's where they were last seen at. I'm not sure what that meant, but those are missing girls. So I'm guessing that's where the girls were last seen at. Okay, so now they are trying to figure out, so at this point they're trying to figure out like where's she going, what's her next step. So O'Reilly says that she doesn't know at this point. So Tyrone is defending her. He's telling Tandy, like, "Tandy, calm down. Like, I don't think she knows anything. You're grilling her, but again, I just don't believe she knows anything at all." So then they go out in the hallway, and Tyrone asks Tandy if he believes that Tyrone asked Tandy if she believes that he's like Mayhem. She's like, "No, you're not like her at all." She's like, "You are a protector, whereas she is just killing people for the sake of killing people." So then O'Reilly, she finds a deck of cards, and then with the deck of cards, she's able to kind of pinpoint where Mayhem is going to go next. So this is where they're heading to. All right, so then next we go and we see a guy on Bourbon Street who's visibly drunk as hell. And, he's just rambling on, and I couldn't understand what he was saying. I'm like, what is this guy talking about? And it's kind of like, it seemed as if he was preaching to the streets or whoever was walking by. I'm just like, what is going on? So then the guy, he passes out, and that's when O'Reilly walks up and take the bottle from him. I'm like, are we going to get a little bit of backstory about what the hell is going on with this? All right, so then we go 122 days in the past. So, we see Mayhem, and she has this Joker card, and on this Joker card she wrote Connor's name on there. Is it O'Connor or is it Connor? I think it's Connor. She wrote his name on the card, and then she has but she didn't, at this point I don't think she had his name on there, but she had a photo, and this is back when she just first started, in the motel room. So she didn't have everything that she had on the walls. She just had one photo that she's pinning to the wall at this point. And then she writes on another card, she says, "Who was his partner?" And I'm like, well, whose partner? So then we see her, she's in a squad car, and then the cop that was, keeping guard of O'Reilly at the hospital, he walks up to her and he's like, "What are you doing in my car?" Because she's in his car and she's taking photos. He's like, "What are you doing in my car?" And she's like, "You left your car unattended, so yeah, you coming at me, but I got you. This, you can be written up for this. You can lose your job behind this." She's like, "Go get me some coffee." So I'm like, really? Okay. So then we see, she goes up to the chief and she's asking the chief about Connors, and the chief is like, "You might want to let this go because number one, you were the last person that saw him. Like, he did what he did to you, but we don't know what happened to him. We haven't saw him." And anything could happen. Again, you were the last person with him, so I would just drop this and let it go. Let us handle it. But yeah, which that is true. She wasn't, well, technically, she wasn't the last person to see Connor. Bridge was. But, it could be said that, hey, maybe Bridge took him out, which we know she did not. But, yeah. So now they're at a strip club, and they're looking for Mayhem in the strip club. So we do see her. She shows up, and then she's attacking this guy. So then Tandy and Tyrone step in to stop her from attacking the guy. So, Tandy, has her dagger in her hand, and she throws it at her, and Mayhem just grabs it like it's nothing, and she's like, I was like, wow, this bitch is stronger than what we thought she was. And, Tandy will try to go after her, but yeah, she's a little bit too tough for her. So then as she's leaving, she sees O'Reilly, and O'Reilly has her gun pulled on her, and she's like, girl, what you gonna do? You ain't doing nothing to me. And she was correct. She did absolutely nothing to her. All right, so then we jump 131 days in the past. So we see her, she's putting together her wall with the map, the photos of the missing girls. And then we also see her, she is at what it looks like a city council meeting where they're doing a vote for excessive force against a young lady. And, it has to be a majority rule, a unanimous vote of yay to do it. So we see going down the line, yay, and then we get to Tyrone's mom. She says nay, and then we see Mayhem, and there's this guy. He leaves, and he goes outside. He's trying to start his car, but his car won't start. And she walks up to him. She's like, "Car trouble?" He's like, "Yeah." He thinks it's his carburetor or something like that. So she's having a conversation with him, and she's trying to figure out like what was going on in there. He tells her what was going on in there. So then, he's still trying to fix his car. And that's when she comes up behind him and she just slams his head down. I'm like, well, shit. Like, wow. And she tells him, yeah, nope, it's not what you think it is. It's actually somebody took your spark plugs. I'm like, well, shit. She is crazy. So yeah. So then she's trying to find out about Connors because, he worked with Connors at one point. And I wasn't quite understanding because he said the Johnson kid. So I'm thinking this is Billy that he's talking about and not Tyrone. Because he's talking about how and I think this is Billy, back when Billy got shot and killed. Because he was talking about Connors told him that his uncle would protect him. But then when it came down to him having a drug case or something against him, there was no sign of the uncle or Connors, who left him out to dry. So then, so she was actually getting ready to leave, and I forgot what he said. But whatever he said, it triggered her, and she just killed him. I'm like, well, shit, girl, you just killed everybody. Like, let me not cross you because you will kill a person in a heartbeat. You won't even bat an eyelash. All right, you guys, now we jump 102 days in the past. So we see the drunk man. The drunk man is actually a priest, maybe a former priest. I'm like, and he's looking at a liquor store. So then we see Mayhem. She walks up to him. She tells him, go ahead. And I'm like, what? You are going to tell a priest that you can clearly tell is an alcoholic to go into a liquor store? Really? You have no heart. Like, God, she just does not care about people. She is only out for herself and screw whoever, gets in her way. So, they're talking about, basically, it sounded like vigilante justice because, she's talking about killing people, how she doesn't feel anything about it. She feels like if they deserve it, that's what she's going to do. I'm like, whoa, that is crazy that you can sit here and justify in your head that you think that they deserve to be killed because of whatever they did. Like, that is crazy as crap. Like, God, that is so cold-hearted. So she also told the man how he's not an easy person to find. Well, I'm glad he wasn't an easy person to find. Like, with you, yeah, the way you kill people, I'm so glad that man was not an easy find. I'm so glad it was hell to find him. So, yeah, she gives him a drink and then she walks away. So when she's walking away, there's a paper that's up under her foot, and she picks up the paper, and it's one of those missing girls. And then behind her on a wall, there are more missing girls, and she takes all of those photos as well. I'm like, there is something seriously wrong with this chick. All right, so then in the present day, they find some missing girls, and then they say, "Oh crap, Mayhem saved them, but she beat us here." And then there's a guy that she attacked because you can see the ambulance is turned over, and O'Reilly notices that her badge is still there, and she's like, "Well, this guy still has a pulse," but so Tandy is like really, really upset because she's like, so what? Yes, we can stop, what do they call those things? Sex trafficking. We can stop the sex trafficking of one group, but that's not. We can't stop everything, which that's true. You can't stop it all, but if you can stop one, that is a good feat right there. Just to at least be able to stop one group of people from trafficking women, that is good. So so she's thinking that maybe what Mayhem is doing is right, and I'm like that. I get the sentiment. She's saving these girls, but at the same time, she is frightening these girls. That's because that's what Tyrone said. Yes, she's saving them, but look at them. They're afraid. Like, what's the point? Not what's the point, but I can't really say what's the point, but look at what she's doing. What is it doing? Because she's still frightening these girls. Yes, she's saving them, but at the same token, you're still instilling some fear in them. So you didn't she's scaring the shit out of them. She's killing people, and she didn't call the cops to come get those girls and check those girls out. Those girls are just standing outside in the dark. Yeah, you stop those guys, but what's to say that some other group of guys don't come and pick them up? So yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. All right. So then we jump back 48 hours earlier, and we see Mayhem at the club, and we see her when she's fighting those guys that were dead in the club. So then we just jump to the present day, and we still see Tyrone, Tandy, and O'Reilly with the girls, and then Tandy uses her powers on one of the girls, trying to see see what her hopes are, and we see the girl, she's cowered up, and she's just shivering and shaking. And Tandy's like, she has no hope. So then she tells Tyrone to use his powers on her. So then when Tyrone does that, he's in the back of an ambulance with her, and she's just screaming for help. And then the ambulance door opens, and she goes out. And I don't know where she went to, but excuse me. But then Tyrone tells him, "Hey, I know where she's going." So then we once again see that drunk priest, and he's preaching to the street. And then we also see Mina as well. And I was confused, like, why are we seeing these two? So then we see them led to what looks like a warehouse where I guess the girls are being held at. But we'll talk about that in just a minute. All right. And then lastly, we jump 36 hours into the past. So we see O'Reilly, she's coming out of that bar that she got drunk at. And we also have Mayhem watching in the shadows. So then this is what we saw in last week's episode when Mayhem went up to O'Reilly and she was just telling her, now it's my time to take over and whatnot. So we see Tyrone and Tandy. They're trying to figure out, like, how do we get the girls out? So Tandy is like, why don't we just wait and let her come and take care of it? And Tyrone is like, no, we can't do that. What she's doing is not right. So then we see Tyrone, he's going back and forth inside there and then he's coming back out to tell Tandy what's going on inside. Which I jumped ahead of myself. All right, so then we see Tandy when she used her new power, the one where she did this last week, and she blinded the people that's inside of the warehouse. So they come out, and then we see Tyrone go back in, and he's letting the girls out, and we, O'Reilly's there as well helping. So we also see back outside that there was a guy who found Tandy. He had a gun pointed to her. It looked like it was a shotgun. So, Tandy is walking, and then out of nowhere, Mayhem just bust through there and ran the dude over. I'm like, well, God, how cold can you be? So then she goes into the warehouse, and she just starts shooting people up. I'm like, really? Like, shit, this girl is cold-hearted as hell. So the bullets were about to hit a kid, and then Tyrone steps in front of him, and uh, not absorbed him. Like, now that has to be explained to me. What the hell is happening when those? We'll talk about that later. But Tyrone saves a kid, and then and then he also sucks in Mayhem. So we see Mayhem. She goes, looks like a gas station, and then there's a refrigerator, and she opens the refrigerator, and that was her. There was O'Reilly's dead boyfriend in the refrigerator, and he's alive and talking to her. But you guys, that was the episode. Like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys later. Tell me what you think about the episode. Tell me, just tell me your thoughts and opinions on this. And also to the Marvel fans, has anyone gotten their tickets to see Avengers Endgame? I tried to buy my tickets last week, but the website, Studio Movie Girl, it crashed on me, so I was not able to get them. So I'm gonna try to get my tickets soon to go see it. I won't be able to see it that Friday night, so I'm probably gonna have to see it the weekend of. But until then, you guys, see you later.